Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Today we are going to continue with chapter 5 part 2. The content of this chapter, we're going to cover about arrays and also functions. What is an array? An array is a collection of similar data type that are used to allocate memory in a sequential manner. This is the syntax of how to declare an array in C language. An array always starts from zero indexing. For example, array new R of size 10. The array will store 10 integer values from 0 to 9. The advantage of using an array, multiple elements are stored under a single unit, and searching is fast because all the elements are stored in a sequence. There are three types of static arrays: one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and multi-dimensional array. For one-dimensional array, it stores data in column or row form. For example, this array score of type integer and of size 15. For two-dimensional array, it stores data in column and row form. For example, the array mark of type integer with row 7 and column 3. And the size of the array is the multiplication of row and column, which is 21 elements. For multi-dimensional array, example, array D of type integer with the dimension 3, 2, and 5, and array point of type float with the dimension 2, 4, and 3. This is an example of a program of using 1D array initialization. So this program is to find the total of 1D array. The array value of size 3 with the initial elements 2, 5, and 9. So the first loop here is to print the elements of the array value. And the second loop is to find the sum of the array value. And lastly, print the sum of the array, of all the elements in the array. This program is to find the average number in 1D array. First of all, input the number of elements of the array. Then we check whether n is less than 100 and also greater than 0. If it is not, then the user will need to enter n again. Okay, next loop is to input the value into the array and also to find the sum of the elements in the array. And then next is to find the average of the sum. And then lastly is to print the average. This is an example of a program using 2D array initialization to find the highest and lowest number in a 2D array. The array map with 4 rows and 3 columns and with all the initial values. And then we initialize highest and lowest to the first component of the array. So the first loop here is to print the array in a matrix form. And then the second loop is to find the highest and lowest values. And then lastly is to print the highest and lowest values. Okay, this program is to find the average number in a 2D array. The array is num of type float with 2 rows and 3 columns. The first loop is to input the values into array num. The second loop is to print the array num. The third loop is to find the total in the array num, and then find the average and print the average. Next one is about functions. A function is a self-contained block of codes or subprograms with a set of statements that perform some specific task or coherent task when it is called. There are two types of function, library function and user-defined function. For library functions, example string functions like string length to find the length of a string or size of a string, string lower to convert into lowercase, string cat is to concatenate two strings together, string reverse is to reverse the string, string upper is to convert the string into uppercase letters, string compare is to compare two strings, string copy is to copy one string to another string. This is examples of string copy, string cat and string length, and also string compare. Next one, a complete program showing the use of string copy, string cat, and string length. Math library functions. Here are examples of math library functions in C language. User-defined functions. The category for user-defined functions, it is based on argument and return type. So here, the first one is function with no argument and no return value. So means the function is of type void and also with void parameter or empty parameter. Next one, function with no argument but return value. For example, function of type integer which will return a value of type integer and with void parameter or no parameter, no argument. This is a function with argument but no return value. The syntax for example, function fun of type void and with two parameters. And then in the main function, we're calling fun, passing the value of a and b, and pass to the function fun without any return value. Now, functions can be called by value and also called by reference. The first one is called by value. In the call by value, copy of the actual argument is passed to the formal argument and the operation is done on formal argument. When the function is called by value, it doesn't affect content of the actual argument. And changes made to formal argument are local to block of called function. So when the control back to calling function, the changes made is vanished. This is an example of a function called by value. This is the parameter, the prototype of the function fun a. Input the value a, then pass the value a into function a, and then store it into num. So fun a is supposed to multiply the parameter x by 2, then return the result back to the main function, and then lastly print the value. Function call by reference. Instead of passing the value of variable, address or reference is passed and the function operates on address of the variable rather than value. Here formal argument is changed to the actual argument. It means formal argument calls the actual arguments. This is an example of function called by reference. The prototype of the function, change, type void, both parameters are passed by reference. So this program is supposed to read two values, a and b, and then call the function change. We're going to change the value of a and b based on the formula in this function. And then print the value of a and b, and also print the value of a and b in the main function. Recursive function. This is an example of a recursion, okay, using factorial function. The function factorial of type long int with one parameter n, type integer. First, in the main function, we input the value of n, then we call the function factorial. This is the detailed part of the function factorial. It receives the integer n. If n is greater than 1, greater than or equal to 1, then return n times factorial n minus 1, else return 1. So for example, the input is 5, the factorial of 5 is 120. Now, next one, you can try this exercise. Thank you.